WVIZ, PBS, IdeaStream Education, and is made possible by a grant from the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation.
Coming up next on News Depth, you better watch your mouth to stay healthy, that is. We'll tell you how. Plus, a driving ban is set to be lifted in Saudi Arabia, and the ladies there are ready to put the pedal to the metal. And newscast now. Some Saudi women may soon be tooting forbidden from getting behind the wheel. If they were caught driving, the ladies could be fined or even sent to prison. But now, the country's leader, King Mohammed bin Salman, by royal decree, has lifted the ban. Allowing women to drive will make it much easier for them to travel throughout the country and will free up the money that they used to have to pay to drivers. The women, including Rasha Hefsi, a city council member in Jeddah, are excited for the change.
It feels great, actually, because we've been waiting for this for years, and just witnessing that decision, we all thought that it will happen in the 2020, but it happened so fast, and it feels great that I can take just my car and go to my company, go to the council, and just practice the daily life activities normally.
The ruling is expected to go into effect by June. Now, more leaps in the women's world are being promoted by President Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump. We told you last season that she's very interested in getting girls to learn all about coding. Coding is a way of telling a computer or a computer program what to do by writing in the computer's own language. Coding is used to build software for websites and for your video games. Try your hand at coding by heading to newsdepth.ideastream.org and clicking the link beneath the coding story. Now, Ivanka visited a Virginia elementary school to talk with kids there about science, technology, engineering, and math. She says the goal is to match skills taught at school with jobs that exist in industry. President Trump showed his support of her initiative by directing the Department of Education to invest a minimum of $200 million in STEM and computer science education. The funding will benefit both boys and girls. Now, getting girls into careers that are normally seen as masculine is also part of a program at the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, Illinois. Reporter Sean Lewis tagged along as the girls learned about flying high.
In the hustle and bustle of O'Hare Airport, this weekend, it's all about girl power.
It can really open your mind to see what you'd like to do.
45 girls from ages 9 to 18 here for the day.
These are all airplanes that are coming or leaving to Chicago.
Getting behind the scenes in the world of aviation. All day, these girls are seeing every aspect of what it takes to run an airline, flight, and tech operating experience that means a lot to these girls.
And like whenever I see like a female pilot, I get so excited.
Enthusiasm, all the questions that they ask, it.
Women now from the youngest of ages, making a difference.
I still remember the first time kind of working for United, being able to go out in the ramp and meet a plane or going inside a plane in the cockpit. And so having these young girls, some of them as little as 8, I think, up to high schoolers, it's really special.
Thanks, Sean. It's not just airline jobs that are normally held by men. Beat reporter Stephanie Jarvis tags along in a summer camp in Geauga County, working to prove that idea is wrong.
It's no secret that there's a growing skills gap in the manufacturing industry. Nationally, millions of high-paying jobs in advanced manufacturing go unfilled because job seekers simply lack the right skills.
It used to be that you could just walk in and open the door, work hard, and get a job. And in some places that's still the case, but in many others, you have to have particular skills before they'll even let you through the door.
It sounds like a complicated problem, but many think the solution looks something like this.
It's a simple circuit motor. It has the battery holder right here with the battery attached to it, and the wires go along here.
Charlotte's explaining the motor she created in the Fab Lab during the Summer Manufacturing Institute for Kids. These kids will get to use more advanced manufacturing gear later in the week-long camp, but today, things are a bit more low-tech.
Hey, we have a working one. These are basic principles of electricity and basic principles of manufacturing. And one interesting part of it is, as excited as the kids are about being in a fab lab with 3D printers and laser cutters and things like that, it's also really exciting to give them a screwdriver and a screw and a pair of washers. So sometimes it's the first time that they've worked with tools like this.
But it's not just about teaching manufacturing ideas. It's also about changing minds.
I thought manufacturing was just like making something. It didn't have this much potential in it.
So one of the reasons that we do this camp and we target it to 5th and 6th graders is that they're at a really good age for not only still having fun and experiencing the joy of building and learning new things like a regular STEM camp, but they also still have open minds about the idea of manufacturing and building things. And if you say the word factory, they might at this age be like, ew, a factory, it makes smoke and it pollutes the environment. However, we're talking about they use all these STEM skills that they're learning, and even STEAM
Facilities firsthand through daily
locomotive. We get to go through a tour and they get to have that wow factor. That's so cool. Or look at that machine just cutting through that metal like butter. That's awesome. So they're going to have that reaction.
But this week's camp looks a little different than previous sessions.
What's very special about this week is this is the girls only week. And if you were to walk into a local manufacturing facility, you would probably see 10% women in most shop floors. So we do the Girls Week of Summer Manufacturing in order to really encourage women to think about it. They clearly have the skills and the interest in the STEM pathways.
It's certainly had an impact on one budding manufacturer.
It's changed how I think because it's opened me up to new things that I can do. I can make anything that I want to.
Thanks, Stephanie. Of course, manufacturing's always been a big deal here in Ohio. Early industrialization in the state sprang from agriculture, but by the 19th century, steel production was where it was at. Gabriel Kramer's pumping iron facts out in this week's Know Ohio.
Ohio is one strong state. No, I'm not just talking about my muscles. I'm talking about the cities here that melt and form some of the toughest materials used in buildings: iron and steel. Steel is an alloy. An alloy is a mixture of metals. In this case, steel is made mostly of iron and is used to make everything from cars to cords. Before we knew how to mix steel, though, iron was the strongest material. We made it here way back in 1802, before the Civil War. That's when the state's first blast furnace opened near Youngstown. It doesn't look like much now, but by burning coal and blasting it with air, the furnace was able to get so hot that it would melt the iron into a liquid, which was then formed into machines and tools. The first furnace created on average 2 tons of steel per day. After the Civil War, iron manufacturers came up with a new way to process iron, which resulted in the creation of steel. Ohio cities grew with smokestacks and factories. By the late 1800s, Ohio was the second largest producer of steel in the country. It became an identity for the people living in steel towns.
This is my hometown. It's called Youngstown, and it's in the state of Ohio near the Pennsylvania boundary. In Youngstown, we make steel. We make steel and talk steel. Look down any street in town, and you'll see the mills at the end of it. There are 25 miles of them along the Mahoning River.
Workers at the steel mills begin with iron ore, which looks like dirt, and melt it in the blast furnace. Steel mills were such a large employer in Ohio that you might know someone who worked for one, like U.S. Steel. You might have a grandpa or another family member who used to work there. But the industry could not stay strong forever. As other countries figured out how to make steel cheaper, factories here began to close. In 1977, one of the largest employers, Youngstown Sheet and Tube, closed a large part of their operations. 5,000 lost their jobs on the day they called Black Monday. And from there, the rest of the factories began to close. A few steel factories do continue to operate in Ohio.
Make 105 out. Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye.